I can picture what you're thinking of. My imagination's not enough. Oh, no, it's not safe to say what you're always looking for. Hey, someone to make you feel like. Don't wanna think of all the who's that you can pick and choose for. You but you don't seem to know. Ooh, oh, you're on cruise control.
What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the Thursday, November 12th edition of Level Up Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John, and that dude next to me rocked out in FNATIC, because that's going to be the only way he's going to be able to play owner of FNATIC. We'll touch on that a little bit later. Is the king of the court side. Joey, what's up, buddy?
John, I'm doing well. Oh, I just went into the mod panel to get rid of this bot, but I did not get there quick enough. So if you want to remove that bot, feel free to. But yes, it's been a great week, guys. New consoles launched, the Xbox on Tuesday, the PlayStation today. I think PlayStation's still selling, what'd you say, 9 o'clock is when the next sale goes online?
For Walmart, yes. They're rolling it out in 3-hour increments. So 9 p.m. Eastern time, which may or may not be right at the end of the show. So we'll see what happens there. Good luck. If you haven't gotten your consoles yet, it's going to be fun. It's going to be annoying. It's going to be very frustrating for a lot of people to get their consoles.
It's going to be messy. But hey, it's been a great week. We are now in the next-gen console generation. I know PC gamers, we're still not quite up to the frames that you guys have, those 300 frames. But hey, consoles now, the standard is 60 frames per second, up to 120 on that Xbox Series X. So slowly but surely, these consoles are moving forward. And boy, did they look gorgeous on the ray tracing on these consoles. Spectacular. And these aren't really, I mean, these aren't optimized for next-gen games yet. These are games that are last generation that are slightly optimized to take advantage of some of the new hardware, but not designed specifically for it as of yet. So lots of cool things that will come over the next probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years with these beasts out in the wild.
I think I speak for all PC gamers when I say I remember my first time playing at 120 frames per second. All right, Nation, make sure you follow the show on social media. LvLUp Live is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at LvLUp Live. That's at LvLUP Live. And while you're on Twitter, why not give Joey a follow? He is currently crowdsourcing money to become the next investor of FNATIC. He's going to need at least $1 million. So it's a long shot, but we are working on it. We'll touch on that a little bit later on down the road too. And give myself a follow at Fiasco as well. If you're watching here live on Twitch, welcome to the live show as always. Those handles are currently beneath the mugshots you're currently staring at. And if you're listening on the podcast later down the road, they'll be in the show notes for you below. And Nation, speaking of the podcast version of the show, the LvLUp Live is available on LvLUp Podcast, and that's available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And if you're listening to the podcast, why not leave us a review? Reviews do go a long way and help grow the audience and reach new listeners, so we do appreciate any review, any kind of feedback whatsoever. If you even don't want to leave it on the podcast, feel free to give it in the chat here in Twitch. Feel free to hit us up on social media. Any feedback is good feedback, and we appreciate your time and honesty. All right, Joey, it's Thursday. The weekend is just one day away. Friday stands between us and Saturday. That's it. And for the most part, I just want to hit 4 o'clock on Friday because that's all I care about. Then I'm off of work. So, Joey, what are we talking about to celebrate Friday Eve here on the Thursday edition of LvLUp Live?
Guys, we have a smorgasbord of topics today. There's so much going on. You have free agency, you have console launches, you have a lot of new games that are dropping like Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legions recently. A lot of big things happening in gaming and esports right now. So what did we pick and choose? We picked and chose a little bit of every one of those pretty much. So it's kind of like a smorgasbord show today. We're going to kind of hit a lot of different things from some of those roster moves down to some of these investments like the one John mentioned earlier with FNATIC. We're going to dive a little bit into how Xbox and PlayStation are doing this week in their launch week. A few other things like smoking Xboxes and much more.
All right. So now it's time for chat's favorite segment. Grab your pitchforks and torches, my friends. It is time for the drink of choice. Joey, they roasted us alive last episode on Monday. So here we're going to try to turn things around a little bit. We're going to try to turn things around. We're going to try to rebound from our Monday show. We're going to try to be prepared for going into the weekend for today's amazing episode. So Joey, it is time for the drink of choice. Your beverage, please.
So on Monday, guys, I went with the Baby Shark brew over there from Aslan Beer Company to kind of represent the Xbox Series S making its way into the wild as the baby console of all of them.
Small boy.
Today, I am celebrating Sony's launch of the PS5 with a Tokyo Smoke. Again, from Aslan Beer Company, local brew here. John, unfortunately, this is an IPA. I know you're not the biggest fan. But it is quite a good one. So celebrating the Japanese culture, the launch of the PlayStation 5. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be all about gaming. And we're going to do it with some Tokyo Smoke.
Okay. I'm going to flame you for the IPA. But if you're going to sit here and tell me you're celebrating Tokyo because it's got a makeshift Japanese flag on the can, I think you're doing it wrong, my friend.
I didn't actually think about that. I guess
that's what the red circle
like
is for.
Flag. Yeah.
That's, oh boy. Blake says he would rather drink soap. You know,
I mean, like I said, IPAs at one point tasted like soap to me, but then over time, like the palate matured. It could just be this one. I haven't tried like a ton of other IPAs, but this brewery, I was going to speak in Japanese, but I don't know the word for amazing. God. So I'm not even going to try, fam. Tokyo Smoke, great stuff over here. Yeah, I don't know any Japanese, so I sat there as like, I really don't know what to say in Japanese. So here we are. PlayStation. It's about the best I can do, guys. My Japanese accent, my language. Yeah. It's just, it's the Tokyo Smoke already coming through me, just like those new Xbox Series X's. It's going to be an interesting show. Nation, John, what are you drinking for today's
Nation,
show?
I'm going to, I may just end up finishing this bottle on stream. We're breaking out the Kraken. As you can see, I don't have much left because I did make myself once again a dark and stormy. Blake, this is for you. I actually thought about you when making this. This is in my Stanley Cup champion, Washington Capitals pint glass, if you will. The 2018 Stanley Cup champions and home of the best hockey player to ever grace God's green earth, and that is Alexander Ovechkin. For right now, for this generation is what I'm going to go ahead and say. So, Joey, you have your soapy dishwater IPA celebrating Japan somehow. I have released the Kraken, and I think we're ready to get into it. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
So outside of improving my Japanese accent, guys, we're going to dive into some industry acquisitions. We talked about this one a few weeks ago, but it has now been made official. The announcement came out yesterday in a press release. Hector Rodriguez has reacquired OpTic Gaming from the Immortals Gaming Club. Additionally, as of today, it is now being rumored that Immortals is looking to make sales in a few of their other esport areas. The biggest one potentially being the Overwatch League. They own the LA Valiant slot over there. They're looking again. They just brought in that big investment, around $50 million. Now, how do we spend it? Do we end up investing into other scenes? Do we end up making some moves here and there with like content creators? It does seem like they still want to continue to build up that bank, so they could be looking for a sale of the LA Valiant. I mean, this is kind of big news in all honesty, John. So OpTic Gaming, they've been an interesting brand. They've done really well in Call of Duty. I believe they were in Halo and did quite well there. Gears of War, they were a big name. So they weren't really at the giant stage when it came to like a League of Legends. I guess CSGO, Dota 2, they've been here and there in some of these scenes, but they've never really been a giant name outside of those like Call of Duty, Gears of War, Halo. Now they're kind of jumping around a little bit. They've been reacquired by Hector. I think that's going to be a good move overall. Under the Immortals flag, they didn't do too much with the brand. I feel like they left a lot to be desired in that area. Now that it's getting shipped back to Hector, I think we could see some initial investment back into those scenes they did well in. Maybe it eventually grows into some of these other scenes to a higher level, like a League of Legends, a CSGO potentially. Again, they do have rosters in a lot of these. They're just not the highest performing of rosters. So I'm curious to see how that all shakes out. On the Immortal side, I think the bigger thing is the investment. So now that they've raised around $50 million and they're still looking to continue to make sales, the LA Overwatch slot could be, I don't know, $25 million, somewhere around there potentially is what they paid for it. Now, depending on how you weight the Overwatch League versus its viewership versus that potential revenue from sponsors, it could go up or down depending on how all that is weighed out in the end. But overall, just continuing to raise money, and I'm curious where they're eventually going to pour it all back into.
Yes, selling the LA spot for Overwatch League, it's probably going to end up in a loss. Just like you said, the viewership numbers just aren't there. Depending upon how revenue is split between marketing and the other sponsorships and whatnot, it's going to be tough. But overall, I do like the move of Hector reacquiring OpTic. I think it's going to be good overall for the OpTic brand. It's a very strong name in the esports industry, so I'm glad to see Hector back in charge of that. And, Immortals, Immortals came in with such a bang, and now it's like the pendulum has fully swung with them onto the complete opposite side. It's very interesting watching organizations that's one of the big things in esports is it feels like some of these organizations pop up overnight. Not saying Immortals was like this brainchild that popped up after 3 drinks of whiskey in 3 hours during a binge one night. Obviously it was a well thought out plan organization, but it just goes to show you that new organizations still have to go through those growing pains. Just because there's a lot of money up front, there's still a lot of growth they have to go through, and they have to take risks just like everyone else. There was a risk in acquiring OpTic. It didn't really work out, so now they're selling to redefine what they're trying to do, maybe just look at going a different direction. So I think it works out well for both parties, both for OpTic and Hector and Immortals with the split. And we'll see what happens with LA. So we'll see how much money they're able to sell that spot for.
Yeah, for me, and I think we talked about it a little bit on Monday, my biggest problem with Immortals is I think they grew too big too fast. So they said, hey, we're jumping in. We got Huni and Rainover. We're popping off in the LCS. let's throw money here into the CSGO scene, and let's throw money here into this scene. And now we're going to buy an Overwatch League slot, and then we're going to buy a Call of Duty League slot. It was just so much. I mean, this is an organization, like you said, they kind of felt like they popped up overnight. And then within a season or two, they're buying into all of these different leagues, and Overwatch League spots and Call of Duty League spots are not cheap in any way. Then on top of that, to compete in League of Legends, even though the LCS might not be the highest league in the world, it is one of the highest paying leagues in the world. So you're continuing to pay a lot of money for those rosters. Huni and Reignover were not cheap at all. They were semifinalists with FNATIC in the LEC, or the LCS at the time, the EU LCS. So they're paying a lot of money to buy these big all-star rosters, to buy these franchise spots. And then at some point along the way, there was a little bit of an ownership shakeup. Noah ended up taking a different role within the company. Then you had a few other things go on back and forth. You had some drama with their CSGO roster. And now, all in all, it just ended up becoming a giant mess. You own all of these franchise spots. You own all of these players. And how does everything shake out? Where is our investment being made back? And I feel like that was the big question mark they had to answer. And I don't know if they've really answered it as of yet, because they made some really bad moves in the LCS, League of Legends, which was kind of their bread and butter for a while. They've made terrible moves in CSGO. LA Valiant, I would say, has not been horrible. But again, the Overwatch League does bring some questions of its return on investment as well. Call of Duty League off to a good start. But again, the return on investment is something that's not going to come immediately either. So some of these have to be waited out for a couple of years to see how they grow. Now, if you're Immortals, you have time to wait it out. And I think that's where the big question mark here is coming from. So they're starting to do these investment rounds. They're starting to sell off some of their stuff. And I think eventually we see them start to reinvest that into a much, much smaller spot. Maybe they stick with just League of Legends and CSGO. Maybe a couple other ones on top of that. Maybe they even drop down to another tier or two below, like a Rocket League, Gears of War, a Halo, something a little bit smaller. But eventually, I think they do need to make some choices. We cannot have all these teams and continue to compete at a high level. Let's become really good at a couple scenes. Let's invest in League of Legends. Let's invest in a Rocket League. Let's see how we can continue to grow our assets and continue to grow our fan base. And I think some of that needs to go back into social media, as well as their content creators. I feel like they're non-existent as well. So I'd like to see them invest on a smaller scale, but invest to stay for a while. Like when it comes to CSGO, it feels like they've made investments at times, but then they end up bleeding it out. Like they bought a great acquisition in, I don't know what they were at the time, but the MIBR, SK Gaming, Luminosity roster. Squirkle and I were talking about this earlier. They put a ton of money into that. You have some of the most well-known players in all of CSGO on this roster, and then it just kind of falls apart. Like they have a few good competitions, and then it just kind of dies off. Like if I had all those players, there's no way we would not be marketing them on social media a ton, having them stream a ton. It feels a little lackluster the way they've handled some of these teams and some of their talents. So I would like to see them reinvest that, but again, on a smaller scale than we've seen them so far.
So you're saying they're not in the running for some EU superstar that has a $5 million buyout clause, or that you're saying Immortals is not going to be in the running for that?
I mean, they could be, but I don't want to see them in the running for that in every scene. Like, give me one or two scenes, make them really strong, get your name to grow on a global stage, as opposed to, oh, yes, that's the team that bought Reignover and Huni, and then they did nothing as a brand outside of that. Then they bought MIBR, they popped off for a few tournaments, and then the roster broke up, and one of the legendary rosters of all time is now gone. So it's just like, it feels like a heartbeat where they go up, and then they drop down for a long time, and then they go up, and then back down. It's so much inconsistency from the brand right now. They kind of annoy me a little bit at times, if you can't tell. It's one of those things that's like, come on, make good moves, make good decisions. But we can tell that to everyone on social media, and they can only hear us here and there. LOL free agency, guys. It opens on Monday, November 16th. There are a ton of rumors jumping around. A number of them are true based on my sources. A number of them are not so true based on my sources. So we'll have to see how it all ends up shaking out. The ESPN free agency show on Monday is unfortunately canceled. As we talked about last week, ESPN is shutting down their esports department, or at least the huge majority of it. So lots and lots of talent being shifted around in the esports industry right now. That includes those LOL players, John. And one of the rumors that came out today from Jacob Wolf, so it's not as much a rumor anymore. It does look like C9 is closing the deal potentially with Perks. We don't know what the buyout's going to be. I think it was originally $5 million is what the contract buyout was, and C9 had offered either 2.5 or 3.5 million. So I don't know what was settled on. The initial offer from C9 was rejected from G2. So they either gave all in for the $5 million, maybe they split it up the difference. I don't know 100%, but either way, you're going to have one of the most legendary players of the LEC potentially going to the LCS, with Cloud9 being that recipient, come Monday or a couple days after.
I'm down. I'm ready.
That's huge.
It's going to be massive. Huge.
Absolutely massive. So one of the biggest players, and again, it's not going to be the only one shifting around. This is a trend we've seen a lot. We've seen the LCS jump in and buy players from South Korea a lot. We've seen them jump in and buy a lot of players from the LEC in Europe. That's one of the biggest issues and criticisms that North America gets currently. Why are you not investing in your own players? Why are you not investing in the academy scene? And I think it is a big deal, and I think it's something that NA needs to address here sooner than later. Otherwise, they can just continue not to get out of Worlds groups time and time again. But at the same point, if someone legendary like Perks comes up, someone that is going to cost you a lot of money, but is going to bring with him a top pedigree of experience mechanically, as well as a lot of leadership. He brings a lot of content creation. He's just a very, very good brand player on the Rift, outside of the Rift. He just does a really good job on a team. Someone like Perks is going to be worth a ton of money. So even an organization like Cloud9 that does a really good job, in my opinion, of bringing players up from the academy scene. We've seen them do it with contracts. I believe Licorice might have been on their academy scene as well. You had a lot of the original roster come up from academy. And recently, like Blabber came up, I think. You had Zazel come up from academy. So there's just been a lot. Cloud9 does a very good job with that. So we do see one of those players fudge now that OCL does one of those, resident spots up, coming from the Australian League now that they've mixed in with the LCS. So they do have an academy player coming up, but he might be paired alongside one of the biggest veterans in all of League of Legends when it comes to the West. So some really exciting stuff there potentially with that Cloud9 roster. Don't sleep on TSM either. I think they're going to be the second or third, depending on how you weigh Team Liquid's roster out, as that one is pretty much finalized. So TSM will have quite a strong roster as well. I just don't know who their support is yet, but the rest are pretty much falling in line.
But Joey, tell me this is not the most NA thing ever. Why develop talent when you can just buy it? Like, that screams NA to a T. Like, that really screams America to a T. Why not just buy the best talent and go with it? I mean, now I do agree. I would love to see NA actually take the academy developmental process seriously. It's going to be easier on their pocketbook. And like we talk about all the time, the amount of money the LCS splashes at people, and just how, let's be honest, sorry NA fanboys, how poor the LCS performs in the international scene. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's not a smart investment if you splash all this cash, but then nothing comes of it. Cool, awesome, you won the LCS. That's like, no offense to our alma mater or anything, but that's like winning the A10 and saying, oh, at least we're going to the tournament in the NCAA basketball tournament. You know, congratulations, you won a mid-major conference, and then you're going to go play against the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and everything. Look, I get it. I get it. Like, you want to compete in your league, but outside of that league, that's the problem LCS has, and who knows? Maybe splashing $5 million for a legendary player, bringing him over to NA, because let's be real here, that's how much you're gonna have to pay me if I'm an established European player in the LEC, having two teams that in back-to-back years made it to Worlds Finals. Like, that is a pretty big deal. That league is doing incredibly well. To come to, I'm gonna call it what it is, a subpar league like the LCS. It's going to cost a lot of money for me to do that. So Cloud9 potentially forking out some big bucks.
Yeah, I think overall it's going to cost Cloud9, assuming they hit $5 million for that release clause. I think it's probably going to cost around $7.5 to $9.5 million, if I had to guess. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out in the end. Again, they're having some issues with the sales of Niski and Licorice. I don't think they're going to get as much money as they originally thought they were going to. So we'll have to see how both those end up selling to kind of cut down on that cost a little bit later down the line. Again, guys, free agency opens on Monday, November 16th, so we'll hit a lot more on that come Monday as some of these deals actually get finalized, and then I'm willing to talk about more rumors on that day as well. We're finally getting to the point where things are getting a little bit more finalized. It's not as much he said, she said. It's becoming more like we are in talks. There's a contract being drawn up, and there's a very good possibility this gets done. So as things start to get a little closer, probably over this weekend, a lot of these deals end up getting everything but the signature done, so we'll have a lot to talk about on them on Monday. Partnerships and investments. John mentioned at the top of the show, FNATIC has raised $10 million in a financing round led by, I believe it's Baron something like that. Beringea. to support global growth of its esports brand while also announcing a $1 million crowd equity campaign available to the public November 19th. So we could talk a lot about the 10 million financing, but I don't think we need to. Knowing FNATIC, they're going to put it into streamers. They're going to put it into more teams. That seems to be the way they continue to use these financing rounds. Now, the other part, though, the $1 million crowd equity. $1 million to a group like this, it is quite a bit of money, but it's not going to be the game-changing amount of money. This, to me, is a cool, innovative way that FNATIC is trying to have fans get involved with their brand. So instead of going like public on a stock market with an IPO, they're saying, hey, we're going to open up a limited amount of spots here. We're only selling $1 million of equity, and you can go ahead and jump on here. There's like an early access if you sign up for their newsletter. You get a couple days early or whatever. But November, I think 19th is when it opens up to the public. And they're going to open it up and say, hey, you have to spend at least $20 for this spot within this $1 million. You can spend up to, I think it's capped at a certain amount. I don't know what that amount is as of yet. But they're going to allow fans to buy equity, and I think this is great. This is one way where fans can help support a team to a different level. So instead of me just going out and buying a jersey and saying, okay, I'm buying a jersey for FNATIC, I'm going to rep it, I'm going to wear it around, which I think is great. This is another way to get more involved, to see some of the decisions happening behind the lines. Again, it's not a true IPO, so the stuff they can release can be a little bit different compared to what they would if they were on the stock market. But at the same point, you're getting more information about the back end. You're not going to know who FNATIC's new mid laner is before everyone else does. But you're going to get to know some of the finances. You're going to get to know and understand why FNATIC is spending certain things the way they are, what the return on investment might look like for something versus something else. And on top of that, you're going to be in, I would assume they're going to do kind of like earnings calls. So you get some idea of what the finances are looking like quarter to quarter, how FNATIC gear is selling, how the jerseys are selling, how Reckless signed hoodies do. Different things like that will be mixed in. They might also give investors an idea of what they're looking forward to. So like when we see like the Nike collaboration, for example, or we see the Gucci collaboration, maybe this is something that they tell those people who end up supporting them ahead of time as well. So that, I don't know, because of leaks potentially, but I would think there's some kind of maybe a discount built in, maybe some kind of early notice built in, something along those lines. So as someone who's looking at this, I think this is amazing. I think this is a great idea coming from an organization. John's kind of scrolling through and showing you some of the numbers as well. The one catch to this, guys, those who are funding this in chat over there, residents of the US, Canada, and Japan are not able to invest through CrowdCube is the platform they're using. They're not able to invest through that platform unless they're an accredited investor. So what does accredited investor mean? Does it mean someone who plays stocks on Robinhood? Does it mean someone who says, yo, Pat, I'll buy one of those Xbox Series X's for $100 upcharge? Sorry, I had to go there. So it's rough. And an accredited investor is someone who has a net worth of at least $1 million. So if you're in the US, Canada, or Japan, unfortunately, you're going to have at least $1 million to say, I have a net worth high enough to invest into this platform. Unfortunately, I do not have $1 million lying around to invest into a platform. So I will unfortunately have to sit this one out. But I think a lot of people from EU, a lot of the big FNATIC fan base where a lot of them are based out of, are going to jump into this opportunity. I think they'll raise 1 million very easily, and I would not be surprised if they open up another round later down the line as well.
So while Joey's net worth may not be $1 million, it is $999,999.99. So he's almost there. He's almost there. Just not yet. Just so far away. Almost, Joey. I believe in you.
So disappointing. I was in the pre-order round and everything. Filled out everything. I'm like, I'm doing this. I bought a jersey. I'm going to buy at least $20 worth of stock into them. And I went in there and it's like,
oh my God. Okay.
You're from the USA. Well, do you have an offshore account? But yeah, if residents of the US are screwed. So it's like rip.
Recent campaigns with FNATIC. Just real quick. Which one of these do not belong here? Gucci, Nike, Bud Light, Jack Link's beef jerky, and Champion. Joey,
I actually don't know what the Bud Light one is.
Bud Light to me makes some sense because they've dabbled in esports. Jack Link's beef jerky, I'm sorry. That to me, I'm not. When I think of a European powerhouse, I'm not thinking of American beef jerky.
Jack Link's, that was a good. Gosh, I can't think of what they did for that. It was like a talk thing. It was between the League of Legends team and the CS:GO team, but there was like a fancy name to it.
Oh, Joey, you can get these cool stickers that say founders and everything.
Yeah. Would you like to move me to another country to afford that? Or do you have the 1 million to the investment?
Well, you see, my net worth is just a little bit lower than yours. So
like,
I think I'm at like a $9.27 is my net worth currently, something like that.
Oh my gosh, stop that. But
yeah.
Yes, guys, it's expensive. It's cool though, isn't it, John? I mean, I think this is really cool. I think this is an awesome idea for esports orgs. Again, I think it'll be super successful. I think it'll sell out very quickly. I think this is one thing we could see additional funding rounds for. And honestly, I would not be surprised with I don't want to call it an issue with money in esports, but it's definitely something that has had issues with certain returns depending on the scene that different organizations are mainly based out of. If we eventually see them start to IPO, something like an Astralis is already IPO'd in Denmark, something like FNATIC, Team Liquid, they have investment groups for a lot of these, but maybe they look, instead of doing the investment rounds, they eventually just become fully public as well.
Don't worry, Joey. Rest of chat is confused as to why the U.S. has crazy laws about investing into foreign companies via non-U.S. government authorized donation centers or whatever.
Yeah, where is Crowdcube? I'm trying to find out where it's even based out of.
Yeah. So just it to all of our Americans out there, we have some really funky laws when it comes to investing into foreign companies. And that's essentially what this is if you want to break it down to the least common denominator. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. And I think the company they're using, Joe, I think they're European also.
I think they're European too. I can't find it on this page though. But yeah, the big thing is like, think of it this way, guys. If you're a country, where do you want your money for your citizens going? You want it going back into your own economy. You want people spending on your economy. So they don't want to see you going out and investing in a European esports organization when you could potentially do the same thing for a North American one. So I kind of get it from that perspective. At the same point, as a FNATIC fan, it's a bummer. As someone just who has money in general, I'd like to spend it wherever I want to without someone telling me about it. But hey, this is where we are. If I pass the 1 million threshold at some point, I can buy a stock in FNATIC.
It's okay, Joey.
I don't get why it's 1 million. Like, why is that our line here? Gosh, people.
It's okay. Well, if you can't invest in FNATIC for $1 million, I'm pretty sure there has to be some kind of NA organization that you can pay an absurd amount of money to get access to.
Well, John, that's great. So why is the U.S. saying no to investing in FNATIC? They're saying yes to investing in Cloud9 because somehow they have to fund this perks deal that's going to cost them probably around $7.5 to $9 million. John, this is going to be Cloud9 Stratus. Go ahead and pull this beast up if you haven't already.
Up, my dude.
Oh, look at that. Do you want to play this video? I don't know if I've watched the video.
The video is legit cringe. All right, let's do this. It's going to be a $1.28. Enjoy Cloud9's paid fan experience.
Oh, it's happened! Cloud9 are your E-Major champions! Cloud9, a 3-0 sweep!
So what makes Cloud9 special is that we wanted to build something different. We wanted to push the limits of what we can do with Cloud9 with players that are so dedicated to their craft. We're a family, but still very serious in winning.
Get connected to Cloud9 like never before. Introducing Stratus, Cloud9's new annual subscription service. Built exclusively for our superfans, Stratus is a membership experience like none other. Receive high-value assortments of physical items such as exclusive merchandise made especially for Stratus members. Deepen your connection to Cloud9 through exclusive digital access. Join the conversation in our members-only Discord community. Roundtables with staff, executives, coaches, and more. Community tournaments with exclusive prizes, and that's just the beginning. Every part of Stratus is thoughtfully designed to reward Cloud9 superfans. We see you and we want you to be part of the experience. Stratus, come join us.
You see John's face already. This is going to be a good one. So Cloud9 Stratus, I think, is an amazing name. I think Stratus is a really cool name for a program. Let's break it down a little bit. So Stratus is an exclusive annual membership experience built for Cloud9 superfans, aka John. Stratus will include a high-value assortment of physical items, digital experiences, and Stratus-only content. Stratus can be purchased with a one-time payment of $500. So it's not going to cost you $1 million. It's going to be a simple $500 payment of 4 installments potentially as well. So if you don't want to pay the $500 up front, over that year, you can pay quarterly installment payments, about $125, and that's via quad pay. Again, if you're a European citizen, maybe you have to have $1 million to use quad pay. Not really sure. But overall, John, so they kind of keep it vague of what you get here. Physical items, digital experiences, and Stratus-only content. We're looking at $500 annually, so nothing long-term, purely annually. So every single year you have to re-up for this $500, or again, $125 every quarter. Do you think, as a Cloud9 fan, is this something that you see worth it? And if it isn't, what needs to be added to it to make this a higher value in your mind?
Point number one, $500 is ridiculous for any fan package. If you're going to give me a video that is as this vague, oh, you're going to have exclusive Stratus only merchandise opportunities. Am I going to have to pay extra for said merchandise after I've dropped $500 to be a part of this exclusive club? My other perks. Ooh, I get a glorified monthly Zoom call. Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, that's fun. Is it worth $500? In my opinion, no. You get social media perks. Do I get a cool little badge on my Twitter? Do I get verified on Twitter? Do I get a cool little badge on Discord? Speaking of Discord, I get access to an exclusive Stratus member only Discord to go with my 1,800 other Discord servers I'm currently in. And Joey, that quad pay option, if it was $125 per quarter spread out over the year, I would be happy. But it's with quad pay. They make you pay $125 every 2 weeks. It is not even a true quarterly payment option spread out over 12 months. It is every 2 weeks. You have to shell out $125 or $500 up front. It is absolutely ridiculous to be this vague and then demand $500 for super fans out there. I like the idea. If you're going to give me access to like heavily discounted merchandise, access to the players, or give me free merchandise or something that's exclusive to that. Look, I have no problem dropping money. Like Linkin Park's 20th anniversary of Hybrid Theory box set was $200. I had no problem spending that. $200 on a box set for music that I already own, but with also several releases that were special that you could only get in that box set of rarities, demos, and everything else, even back from when they were a band called Zero before they rebranded to Hybrid Theory, then to Linkin Park. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in that box set for $200. You got your money's worth. But if Linkin Park was to come out here and tell me, oh, you're going to have a lot of really cool songs in there, songs that you may not have ever heard from before, and more, pay me $200. Would I do it? Probably not, because I don't have enough information. That's what we're currently sitting as. There's not enough information to justify a $500 surcharge for you to be a super Stratus fan for Cloud9. And then on top of it, the payment options, spread it out over a year, not 2 weeks. Please and thank you.
Okay, so let's scroll down a little further. We get to see a little bit of what you get. So there's going to be a welcome pack plus a Stratus ID card, a Stratus mouse pad, custom keycap set, Stratus keychain, Stratus edition tee, and a jersey as well. So all in all, that value itself, the jerseys go for what? $60, $70. T-shirt, $15, $20. So we're around $90 or whatever. Keychain, $5. Keycaps. So we're looking at, I don't know, $100, $110 range. Mouse pad. Overall, you're probably about $150 worth of value, maybe $130, somewhere in that range of $130 to $150. So it's not terrible. You're getting something back from this. But again, that's $130 of $500. So now what else are you getting? I know at one point they talked a little bit about the potential of doing like Zoom calls with like the owner Jack, or potential like access to different tournaments. So like if C9 Valorant wants to host like an in-house tournament, maybe they invite the people from the Discord first, and then whatever spots are left available goes to the rest of the community. So kind of like that first come, first serve. Again, a great idea, but we don't know how often these Zoom calls are going to be, how often these tournaments are going to be. I think the Zoom calls they were talking about monthly. I don't know if that was confirmed or not, but that does give a little bit of value here and there. Digital items and strats only content. Jon mentioned some of it. Private status for Discord and status role. Custom Twitter banner and follow back. So Cloud9 is going to follow you on Twitter. Don't know exactly what that'll do, but it's kind of cool to have in your bio. Face It premium membership, Stratus community tournaments, roundtables, and question and answers with Cloud9 personnel. Exclusive member-only content. Again, that's the one Jon mentioned with the big question mark. So there's some cool stuff. It's not terrible. I think it's a really cool idea. I think my biggest issue is I like that they want to make it premium, but when I think of the esports audience, the majority of people are going to be at a much younger age. I mean, you're looking at like probably, what would you say, 13 to 25 is your biggest esports range?
I think the last
it's getting closer to 30.
It's like 20 to 30.
Oh, is it that low or that high?
Yeah, it's that high. Like, no, there is a large base of like 13 to 20-year-olds that watch esports, but the biggest consumer right now is 20 to 30.
Okay, so it's not terrible money-wise, but again, you're still having the early onset of college in there for a little while, then potentially in that job search time of like going through your early 20s to mid 20s. So you're looking at the last 5 years in a sense that 25 to 30 is going to be your biggest area. Maybe you can say 23 to 30. So overall, it's not terrible in that sense, but you're also looking at people who are like trying to afford their first apartment, trying to work their way up in their first job or second job. So it's one of those things that's like, is 500 really the best price point? Frozen?
Oh, welcome back.
Am I back yet?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, cool. I like the finger. That was good. I knew I could wait a little bit. That's good. See, look, guys, we're learning. So I don't know where I left off. $500 price-wise, though, I think is all right from an exclusivity side. It's one of those things that says, hey, this is not for everyone. If you can afford it, if you want to make that investment as a super fan, this is now your price point. But at the same point, when I think of the majority of the audience, I don't know if everyone can just throw $500 a year at Cloud9. Maybe they do it for 1 year and then come back a few years later. Maybe they say, why would I ever do this? It just doesn't feel worth it. I think the biggest thing is you just don't really have much that carries over. Like, yeah, your keychain and jersey carry over, but how much of that is really going to invest in it past that exact annual year? So I think that's my biggest holdup. I think the price point, if I was setting it, I would probably look at $350 as your high point, maybe closer to $250. So I would probably settle around $300. It makes it just premium enough, but also much more accessible within an annual rate.
So essentially what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen of LvLUp Nation, when you spend all those V-Bucks in Fortnite to get your non-casual skin on your avatar, this is what Cloud9's doing. You're buying a Cloud9 skin IRL. So looking at the jersey, number one, I'm not a big Puma fan. And I know there's a lot of people out there who like Puma. They're wrong. But there's a lot of people out there who like Puma. This jersey, to me, I don't like it. I think their black and blue traditional jersey they had last year for their home jersey, if you will, I think that was solid. Even their white away jersey, if you will, looks better than this. So if you're going to try to, make me want to buy this based upon this exclusive jersey, not a fan. Not going to happen. Let's take a look at the Stratus Edition tee. It is a black Cloud9 t-shirt with a white logo and a phantom print of Stratus going down the front chest of the shirt. Again, nothing too special, but hey, it says Stratus on it. Custom Cloud9 keycaps. I hope to God they have options of what keycaps your keyboard is. If it's a Roamer G, that's a different keycap that you need. If it's a Cherry MX, you're going to have a different keycap. That has to be an option. So that's going to be interesting too. I don't think they look all that great. I guarantee you within maybe 3 months, the paint on those keycaps start to wear off. Guaranteed. Mystery crates. Awesome. Cool. It's more clothes that look like the normal Cloud9 line with Stratus written across everything. But also, you could possibly win a ticket to the LCS finals. That's kind of cool. It better be an all paid, all access, backstage pass kind of trip. Because if I'm getting this and I'm flying out from DC, you better be paying for my airfare out to California. That's all I'm going to have to say. So digital items, Stratus. Okay, so like you said, so Joey covered all of this also. Again, Joey, I think I have to agree with you. I think 250 to 300 is the ideal price range. When I see everything on here, that's what it like comes out to me. Cloud9's still making a profit because let's think about this. They're making bulk orders. So they're essentially going to be saving money when they do this. Okay. They're not going to be paying a premium. They're not going to be ordering 1 here, 3 there, 6 here, 2 here. They're ordering 500. They're ordering 5,000. They're ordering something to help save money on the back end to get the most bang for their buck, and then pass along the profit margin, if you will, to the consumer. The consumer gets it, and then they end up paying $400 more than everything really costs, and that goes to Cloud9's bottom line. So I think that's fine. Like, if they want to do that, great. The price doesn't make sense. $500 for an annual fan subscription for a follow back on Twitter, a jersey that looks awful, and a t-shirt that there's nothing special about, and digital content. To me, $500 is ridiculous. Even the payment program is ridiculous. Break it up over a year. That makes a lot more sense. It's easier to budget. You get a lot more people. You end up making more money that way because more people can invest into it long term. But $500 or 4 payments 2 weeks apart from each other, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same reason I think I'd argue for 300 as well. Like, eventually, I think you make more money going the $300 route than the $500 route. If it was 300, I think a lot more of your, I'm not going to say your casual fans, but your fans who might not follow every single Cloud9 esports team say, hey, $300 a year, I can pay it across the 12 months. Maybe I'm actually interested in diving into this. 500 over 2 weeks potentially with this payment thing. I mean, even if it's 500 over the course of a year, I think it still makes some people hesitate and question, like, well, $500, that could buy me a new PlayStation, that could buy me a new Xbox, pretty decent TV on a good sale. Like, do I really want to buy this jersey that's slightly more exclusive, a nice little keychain and a couple other things? It's just one of those things that, I mean, it depends how you think about it. Like, you're giving back to the esports team you like, and I think that's a big, cool thing that goes about this as well. But at the same point, you could just do that in the shop. You could buy t-shirts and jerseys there and not have to pay a membership fee. So there's a lot of other ways to go about supporting an org. I do like it. I like that Cloud9's being innovative. But if I had to pick two, like, even if we cleared out the name of FNATIC and Cloud9 here, I think based on price and the flexibility of price, as well as the more long-term approach to it, I think FNATIC's approach with their first idea here is a little bit better, because if I pay $20 and get somewhat of an equity, I'm in there for the long term until I sell it. I'm allowed to continue to attend these meetings. It's not just an annual thing where I have to re-up every year. It's a lot more of a minimum payment where it's $20. The exclusivity coming from the fact that they're only raising $1 million in this first round. So you got to get in there quick and spend whatever money you want to before it caps off. But at the same point, it's something that's going to last a long time. Eventually, that jersey and that keychain are going to wear out. Those keycaps might not last too long. The love of the team might, but overall, the stuff you're getting out of the deal and then have to re-up for it again next year, potentially, it just doesn't feel as cool. So I like the idea from Cloud9. I just don't think they're there where they need to be on the price point at this point.
It's like Cloud9 saying, we know you love Cloud9. We hear you. We see you. But we want you to show us how much you love Cloud9 with your wallet. How much do you love this organization? The memes are great. You buying a jersey every year when we change it and add random sponsors onto it because you want to wear what the players are wearing. You give us $80 plus shipping and handling every year for a new esports jersey. That's great. But it's not enough to show us how much you truly love me. Joey, that's like when you're dating, right? And you buy your girlfriend a ring, or your significant other, you buy them a ring or a piece of jewelry or something to show what they mean to you. And they look and they go, oh, well, why isn't it the black diamond? It's like, because I'm 16, I have a part-time job at McDonald's, okay? And you're lucky you got a $50 Zubrik Zirconium, whatever it's called, ring from Walmart. Just be happy that I spent, thank you, $50 for you. That was 3 shifts dealing with morons at McDonald's or whatever restaurant you work at when you're 16, right? I took my hard-earned money, my gas money, my money that I could have been paying for a down payment to a car to give to you to show how much I like you, and you're just like, it's not good enough. Cloud9 is that toxic person in the relationship that's like, I know you love me, but I want you to show me how much you love me by paying a premium. This drives me up a wall.
Guys, this has been quite a week for John. He went off on PlayStation on Monday, Cloud9 today. It's been it's a little bit of a reverse week here on LvLUp. But yeah, overall, I don't think it's quite that extreme in my opinion. I think this is them saying, hey, if you're a big fan and you do have some money that wants to get access to this exclusive content, we're trying to make it somewhat accessible. Again, it is a little pricey. I don't know the value of everything, though, and I think that's one factor that kind of holds us out here. Like, if everything does add up close to 500, then I think it's a little easier to digest. At the same point, cut out a t-shirt. Get rid of one of the mystery boxes. Make it more accessible for more people. Allow more people in here. Again, I do like some of the exclusivity behind it because it does make it feel a little bit more special. But with it being annually, I just feel like 500 is just a little bit too high for what they're aiming for.
Stratus ID card, 100% guarantee you it's a laminated piece of paper. Mouse pad, the very thin version, it'll wrinkle up and it'll start curling on the corners and everything. You're not going to be using it within a year. Custom keycaps, I give it 3 months before the paint starts wearing off. Keychains, Joey, when's the last time I saw anyone rock a keychain on their keys? I don't know. I don't look at people's keychains. Stratus Edition jersey, it looks ugly. A Stratus Edition t-shirt, it looks basic. I blow me away if you're going to ask me to pay you $500. That's all I'm asking. Like, if you're going to demand that much, give me something that I can say, yes, I am getting my money's worth, or trick me into thinking I'm getting my money's worth. Lie to me. I don't know. $500 is ridiculous. You're asking me to pay you $500,000 a year? Okay, come on.
Well, we've taken that one to Cloud9 and back. Heyo. From there, let's move on to another topic, though. So we've talked investing, we've talked FNATIC, we've talked Cloud9 and their different new little schemes of potentially bringing in some more income, but is also a way of letting their fans jump in a bit more to the business side, as well as getting some cool custom items here and there, regardless of what you think of those items and how special they might be and the companies that make them. We'll let you guys decide on that one. But again, it is going to cost you $500 a year for that C9 one. The FNATIC one, a minimum of $20 if you're from any country that's not US, Canada, or Japan. Other news for today, we have a couple other topics to hit before we wrap up today's episode. As of Tuesday, EA Play is now included in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. What is EA Play, John? That is 100 additional games, which includes a ton of games in the EA Vault. What are these games, you ask? Well, the full Mass Effect trilogy plus Mass Effect Andromeda is in there. Dragon Age is in there with a couple games. The sports games, Madden, FIFA, NHL, all of that is in there as well. Unfortunately, not the newest edition, though. That's one thing to keep in mind. So it's going to be 1 year behind. I believe the new one releases 8 months after its actual release. Then it gets put into the vault. Titanfall is in there. Titanfall 2, arguably one of the best underrated games of all time, is over there. Anthem, if you guys want to jump into Anthem, because that was supposed to be an amazing game, you can now get that in the vault as well. Supposedly, there's an Anthem 2 being worked on that's going to be a free upgrade edition, but graphically, I think Anthem is great. Gameplay, the feel was awesome in the game. Things to do, very limited, at least when I was playing back when it launched. So definitely one to check out, though, if it's free. I mean, why not? Just give it a download, give it a try. So a lot of cool things in that vault. Additionally, 7 games are available via xCloud streaming already on Android. You have Mirror's Edge, Mass Effect Andromeda, Unravel 2, Madden 20, Sims 4, Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, with more on the way, promised by EA and Xbox. And additionally, with xCloud is now entering into preview for Australia, Brazil, Japan, and Mexico. So for our Japanese citizens who might not have picked up a PlayStation this week, who might not have had access to that Xbox, or who might not be able to invest in FNATIC, you do have something coming your way, and that is the xCloud trial on the 18th. So go ahead and check that one out, folks.
And that's for all of our Japanese listeners that weren't turned off by Joey's drink of choice.
I'm curious if we have Japanese listeners, actually. I'm going to have to look at our infographics now and see. Maybe I'll learn some lessons. So that's cool. I think that's awesome. EA Play now included. Again, Xbox Game Pass markets itself as having 100 games. It now actually has over 350 games included. And console has even more than that. I think console might be over 450 at this point. So lots and lots of games, from high quality games to a little bit more lower end indie games in there. Lots of cool stuff over on that service. Definitely check it out. It's $1 a month. That goes for Xbox or PC at the moment. There is that $1 deal to sign up originally and check this cool stuff out. So go ahead and do that. Pirates, Sea of Thieves, this one also on Game Pass. If you pick up and log into Sea of Thieves on the new Xbox Series X or S console before May 2021, you can unlock the Duke ship set. This is a special set to commemorate Xbox moving into a new generation. John, we do have a video for this one if you want to play that beauty. I think this set actually looks really nice.
It does. It looks really good.
And I love the glow. I love when they glow.
It makes people easier to see from afar so we can board them and steal their treasure.
Yeah, see, that is the difference with Sea of Thieves. Like, when you get the cool glowy stuff, it's like, I'm going to run the seas. Or it's like, I'm a giant target. Come hit me. So it's a little bit to play around with. But I do like the way they went about this. The sails look good. The paint, I like the arrow toward the front with the X. I also really like the, what is it called? The thing in front. The
figurehead?
What's the piece in front? The figurehead. Yeah. They have cross swords, and they're green, and they glow. It's really cool. So super happy with that chipset. Again, the only thing you have to do if you have a new Xbox Series X or S, you just have to boot Sea of Thieves up, and then it might take a couple days to transfer over to your account, but it's just a simple boot up, launch, play for a little bit, and then you will get that set put into your inventory. Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, has played Elden Ring. Do you guys remember Elden Ring? It was shown as a trailer. I think it was 2 or 3 E3s ago. It's one of those big games that has a lot of promise behind it. It's from Software. One of the writers behind it is actually the writer of Game of Thrones as well. So you have the writers of Game of Thrones. You have some of the development behind Dark Souls on this game. Really, really cool, big game supposedly being in the works. And then there's a little while where we haven't heard anything about it. Nothing got said for, it's been like a year and a half. And then they sent out a tweet. We're working on Elden Ring still. It's coming out eventually. Or something like that. It was very mysterious, but it just kind of reaffirmed that it is being worked on. Now, Phil Spencer with Xbox, he said in a recent interview, I think it was with Bloomberg, the quote is, I've seen actually quite a bit. I've played quite a bit. This is clearly the most ambitious game that Miyazaki has done. So Phil is over there. He's playing a game. It means it's at a playable state. Again, not sure when it's going to release, but this giant epic, potentially game of the generation that a lot of people are quoting it as, is in development still. It's being worked on. And I don't know what the relationship is necessarily between Xbox and From Software. Again, we did talk about Xbox rumored to be buying a Japanese studio. I don't think it would be From Software. I think that would be amazing for Microsoft if it was. But I think it's just one of those relationships where they do have the marketing access to it. Maybe they're talking about marketing material. Maybe they're looking at a limited time release deal potentially. I don't really know. But the game is in existence. This giant marketable game supposedly is being worked on, and supposedly it is very impressive. So really not too much to touch on with that one, to be completely honest. I mean, is there anything you want to say about Elden Ring, John? I'm stoked for this game. I don't know what to expect, and I have no idea when to expect it.
Yeah, it looks good. I feel like the hype is justified. So now we just sit and wait.
And that is what we'll do. And speaking of sitting and waiting, John, go ahead and pull up our next one here. So there's been a lot of images circling around on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram of these Xboxes catching fire on launch day or the day after. Well, let's talk about them a little bit, John. Go ahead and break this beauty down for us.
It's on fire. This is an Xbox Series X, fresh out of the box, highly non-manipulated, nothing added to the Xbox to do this. This is clearly 100% an electrical fire Xbox. It is the red ring of death coming back to haunt you. Oh, I'm sorry. What's that, producer? I'm sorry. What was that? Oh, no. These are idiots blowing vape smoke into their brand new $500 console. Now, look, PlayStation fandom and Xbox fandom aside, from a technology standpoint, you are idiots if you are blowing vape smoke that is literally water inside of a piece of technology. Like, you are literally going to fry your Xbox. If it is not smoking now, it will be smoking later for real. This is so stupid. The amount of people that, like, if this is a PlayStation fanboy doing this to like give Xbox a bad name on their launch, number one, you still paid $500 for an Xbox console. Number two, you are damaging an Xbox console. What are you going to do with it? Throw it away and throw away $500? You're going to try to resell it? This is literally damaged goods now. Like, you are an absolute idiot if you are blowing vape smoke through your Xbox Series X, through any piece of technology, whether it's your computer, a PlayStation 1, a Sega Game Gear, I don't care what it is. If you do this, you are a grade A certified idiot. Sorry.
You're feeling so spicy tonight.
I am. It was work. Work has me all riled up. I'm just like, I'm on knife's edge right now.
So yeah, guys, I think there were like 3 or 4 different videos that cycled around of these Xboxes smoking. If you notice, the smoke is all the same colors. They've all been verified to actually be vape being pumped through them. So as of right now, there are no Xboxes that have really caught on fire. There are no Xboxes that are smoking. Some people have had actual issues with the disk drive at some point. I think it was something where the disk drive would make a noise until a disk had been inserted into it. Once the disk had inserted into it, I guess it popped in place or something. Not quite sure. Again, it hasn't been too many cases of it, but there have been a couple that Xbox support has verified and fixed over there via virtual. The ping pong ball is another one that's going around. Ping pong balls, there is a lot of exhaust coming out of the Xbox, but there is not enough to lift a ping pong ball and make it levitate. Some people are playing around and doing little stuff like tricks with this. It's not a thing, guys. Again, it's doing its job. It is exhaling hot air. None of it is smoking. None of it is levitating any ping pong balls. So it's completely safe as of now. We haven't heard of any real cases in this area. So it's going to be a thing that's going to cycle around. Do not be surprised if you see it with PlayStation today or tomorrow either. Again, I don't know if it'll be smoking, but the way John mentioned, like the fanboys back and forth from Sony and PlayStation will do some crazy things, even though they'll go out and spend $500 on a console to do these things. You never know exactly what's going to happen. So keep an eye on it. If you see something fishy with Xbox or Sony, check and see if the actual accounts or the support accounts have said anything about it yet. And then you can kind of get a better idea of what is actually happening with these.
I just love the video from the Xbox account that showed like the vape being put through to prove that it's wrong. I actually don't know if it's an official Xbox account or not.
No, it's a fan account.
But it's got 11.2 thousand followers. So they're doing something right. And they had to demonstrate on why it was false by blowing vape smoke through the ventilation system on the Xbox, which is still like making me want to die on the inside watching this.
I just like all the moisture down in there. Like,
it's so bad. It is so
can't be good.
Bad. Like there is a reason why server rooms are like in like really cold rooms with no humidity in it. Like there is a reason why it's conditioned that way in that room. And you're literally pumping water vapor through a piece of technology worth $500+. Especially if you bought it secondhand, like out of your damn mind. Just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, one of those $700 consoles or $800
We're not calling anybody out, Joey. We're just saying you're going to pay more in the secondary market. Yeah,
it's just, it's crazy. So if you guys want to spend $500, now you can do it with this Cloud9 Stratus membership. You can do it with a console to play or a console to blow vapor through. There's a lot of different options out there for $500 right now. So gaming and esports, woo! But yeah, so that's happening. Again, guys, don't believe everything you see on Twitter. There's a lot of fake videos out there. Again, some of these consoles, it is a launch console. So do not be surprised if there are some issues here and there that comes with both parties. But overall, there's nothing absolutely crazy like smoke coming out of these as of yet. Couple fun launch week stats. Again, we don't know too much about PlayStation because they just went live today and they're still doing sales. That Walmart one just went live a couple minutes ago. If you guys want to check that out, it's probably sold out. But hey, I hope you guys have the best of luck getting that PS5 if you're looking for it. For some of the fun launch week facts, in the first 24 hours of sales, Xbox has broken their previous record of new consoles sold on launch day. Now, Microsoft has not given us a number yet. We don't know exactly what that is. We do know that the Xbox One sold 1 million consoles on launch day. So again, not sure how much this broke the record by. Supposedly it shattered the record. So that could be 2 million. That could be 1,000,001. We really don't 100% know what that number is, but at least as of now, we do know it did break the record for launch day Xbox sales. On top of that, the BBC over in the UK has reported that broadband traffic peaked at 18 terabits per second on Xbox launch day, equivalent to delivering 1,510 hours of high definition video every second on Tuesday. So Xbox launch day, at least in the UK, did extremely well. Again, it was not just the Xbox. There's other factors to consider. Assassin's Creed also launched that day. That was available on PS4, Xbox One, the new Xbox consoles, PC. So that's readily available on a lot of different things. NBA 2K, I think, launched that same day with their next-gen version. So there were some big things that came out that same day. So it's not all on Xbox. But from the gaming and esports perspective, there was a lot going on, and UK took heavy advantage of it. 18 terabits per second.
Joey, baseball fans get a lot of crap for liking really obscure facts being thrown at them. This is a baseball stat. Like this is such a odd way of explaining how much traffic was on the internet.
I know, it's super random.
It is so random. It's like, look, I'll make fun of baseball. I'm a baseball fan. It's fine. It's like the guy that goes, this pitcher is undefeated when pitching in 32-degree weather or higher in the month of April after a full moon and a rain shower that lasted 2 hours while his cousin was in the stands on the first base side behind the dugout ordering popcorn and pizza. That is a BS baseball fact for you, and that's essentially what the BBC did here to try to explain to you, the people of the world, because there's no way to comprehend any otherwise, how much traffic was put into the internet when the Xbox launched, then to compare it to 1,500 hours of high def video being streamed every second on Tuesday. There you go.
It's crazy, but I mean that is a ton. Like, again, I don't really go out there and look at measurements of bits and different things like that, but that is a lot of traffic being spent over that day. So Great Britain really jumping into the whole next-gen thing pretty hot and heavy. Showtime's Halo TV series has officially recast Cortana, bringing in Jen Taylor, who played Cortana in every mainline Halo game. I love this move. So, John, we've talked a lot about video games and movies before, and how different video games have done an all right job and how a lot of them have failed quite heavily. TV series is one of those ones that's kind of been iffy too. Like The Witcher did extremely well on Netflix. There's been a couple others who have done all right, but nothing super, super great out there. This one in particular is very interesting the way they originally approached this. So Halo, the TV series from Showtime, Cortana being the AI in the game for anyone who's played Halo, she's a blue AI. She's a computer the whole time. They cast her originally as a human. Now, when we talk about video game movies and shows, what's the biggest way to make something fail? I don't know. Let's just take one of the most iconic characters in the franchise and change their whole being from an AI to a human. Like, hello? That would have just gone over so poorly overall. I don't think there would have been anything good about that. So now we're at the point where they have recast it. Cortana is now going to be an AI, and she will be voiced and played by her original person who ended up playing her throughout the video game series. This to me is a great move, and honestly, I think it's a move that had to be made. I think if they went the human route, this show definitely would have flopped right from the start.
Joey, this whole thing with the AI reminds me of something.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm going to pull it up here real quick. And chat, I apologize because I remember how triggering this was. When it happened. Let me see. Let me pull this up here real quick.
Dun, dun, dun,
See,
dun.
if I knew we were going this route, I would have done this earlier. Okay, here we go. Let me switch it over here. So, to put this into perspective of how bad this could have been if she remained a humanoid, do we all remember this? That is Sonic the Hedgehog for the movie Sonic the Hedgehog with human teeth. Quite possibly the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. That is not Sonic the Hedgehog. That is on the left. That is before they went back and redid the entire movie to what the image is on the right. And they saved that movie from being an even bigger bust than what it already was. This was terrifying. I would put that on the same level as horrific Sonic the Hedgehog versus cartoon Sonic the Hedgehog. Pat says Joey on the left.
Toxic.
Yikes.
But no, I completely agree. And I think that's a great example that you brought up. Like, that Sonic is terrifying. That is not a Sonic I would want to watch on a TV. Now, at the same point, at least they kept him a hedgehog. This to me is if they said, hey, Sonic is going to be a human that wears a hoodie with little spikes on the back. Like, it's just, why would you take one of the most iconic characters in a franchise and change them to something completely different? That's like the easiest way to piss people off. Like, I get it. You want to distance yourself a bit and come up with a bit of a unique story compared to the game. You don't just want to say, hey, Halo 3's campaign was great. Let's just turn it into a TV series. You want something different. You want to spin off and explore a different area of the universe, both gravity-wise as well as story lore-wise. So it's something that you want to see a little bit of a different take on, and I get that. But changing an iconic character like that into something completely different, I just don't think would work out well for the series. So I'm glad that's not the way they ended up going in the end. I think this is a good change. Again, a necessary change in my opinion. So I'm glad it came sooner than later.
Allow me to add a little more nightmare fuel for you, Joey.
Oh, you got another image?
I do. And I can't believe I didn't think of this one. And when you're talking about changing something so fundamental and making it into a human, like what if Sonic was a teenage kid with a hoodie with spikes on it? Joey, what if a Goomba looked like this? Oh, wait. That actually happened. That was the Super Mario Brothers movie from the 90s. Quite possibly the worst video game movie. You know what? We're not going to stop there. The worst movie ever produced by anybody. Said, this is a great idea. Bowser was literally this white dude with spikes coming out of his head, looked like a knockoff Sith Lord from Star Wars, and was absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. And then the method they used to turn people into these Goombas was like this thing they stuck their head into, and their head got genetically manipulated to this like little tiny little head on this gigantic body. And they were just Hollywood, stop messing with video games. This is terrifying. I'm going to have nightmares because I brought this back up. This is horrific. And no, Pat, this is not my high school photo, you jerk. That's not cool. Like, diss Joey, don't diss me. I'll end the show right now. I got the power to do that. It was not Oscar worthy either, Squircle. It was absolutely awful. So this is the reason why you do not mess with iconic franchises like a Mario Brothers or a Halo or a Sonic the Hedgehog. Thank you.
Gotta be careful, producers. So again, I'm glad they caught this one before it was too late. I think it just would have flopped the whole series altogether. So I'm glad we're seeing the original voice actor come in. It's someone that we can relate to. We already know what Jen's voice sounds like. All the video game players who played Halo already know it. Again, they're going to be used to her. They're going to be used to her playing that character. So I think it's a big win, but again, a necessary win for the series. Last couple topics. So again, launch week for the new consoles, but also launch week for Assassin's Creed. In a recent press release from Ubisoft, it has been stated that Assassin's Creed Valhalla has doubled the launch players in comparison to AC Odyssey. So Odyssey being the most recent Assassin's Creed game, this one has doubled the launch players. So it has come out. It has done extremely well so far. On top of that, it had the biggest debut of views of any Ubisoft game ever. So we're talking Rainbow Six. We're talking Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, Tom Clancy, all of these huge franchises. The Division is another Tom Clancy one that all fall under Ubisoft. Big, big games. This is the biggest debut of views ever for a launch on Twitch and YouTube. So Ubisoft absolutely popping off here with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Again, it looks great. Plays great on new-gen consoles, on PC. I've seen a lot of the gameplay of it. I haven't played it myself, but it looks very fluid. The graphics look great. The story looks interesting. So it's one of those games that, again, Assassin's Creed has continued to build on itself as a franchise, and Ubisoft doing extremely well in this one. I'm not sure if I'll pick it up too soon just because it feels like there's a lot of games already in my backlog. But if you're looking for a new game, you're interested in action adventure, this is definitely one to check out. Last but not least, guys, a couple upcoming announcements. Halo 4 will officially arrive on PC on November 17th to complete the Master Chief Collection. So again, if you're a Halo fan and you've been wanting to play these new games on or these old games on PC, Halo 4 will be arriving on November 17th. And then crossplay. Minecraft fans, Minecraft Dungeons on November 17th for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One. Everyone's going to play together nicely. So if you have friends on Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo, go ahead and cross-play with them. Again, that comes November 17th as well. So just a week away. Then you have like the Gears of War 5 Operation dropping next week. I'm sure you have some other big updates for games coming as well. So lots of cool stuff to come after this week following launch. You're going to get some more of those optimizations running through for the new consoles, some new games dropping, some cool updates, lots of good content to look forward to in the weeks ahead. I think that just about does it for today, John. I think there's a lot to talk about. Again, guys, free agency for League of Legends opens next week. So I think John and I will hit probably quite a bit on that on Monday's show. We also might have a guest lined up for Thursday's show as well. We'll probably announce that on Monday's show, depending on who ends up being that guest. So a couple different things being worked on. We should have an exciting week ahead next week. And again, with PlayStation launching today, we should be able to talk about that a bit on Monday as well.
Joey, I'm so heated still from
so heated. He's almost blowing vape out his vents.
No, Joe, I'm just gonna blow vape through my PC tower real quick. My PlayStation 4 is too far away now. It's over by my TV. It's not like right here anymore, so I can't blow vape through my PlayStation 4. But it's okay. It's okay. I'll just wait for my next gen console to come in. Nation, just don't blow vape smoke through your next gen console. That's all we're trying to do here. But we're also trying to tell you that that's going to do it for this episode of LvLUp Live. Before you go, head over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you'll get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you haven't already done so, make sure you're following the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of LvLUp Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, leave us a review. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from our community in general. We want your great ideas. If you have great feedback, give it to us. The feedback cannot be anything Tide Pod related. Pat, I'm talking to you. I see you in chat. Joey, where else can LvLUp Nation go to interact with us in the show?
LvLUp Nation, head on over to Twitter and find us at LvLUp Live. That is LvLUp Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook as well at OTN Media, and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, give us a follow, maybe even a Twitch Prime sub as well. Check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/OTN Media. This show, the LvLUp Podcast, is Monday and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. A number of other stream shows throughout the week as well.
All right, make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday, November 16th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor, slap that follow and sub button to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing pleasures. We'll catch you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always, level up.
Know that I'm not usually your type.
feel me now?